Hi, everybody. It's Harrison Klein with my two partners, Mark Tassoni and Kamal El Rasi, and we have an extraordinary opportunity today to work with the legend, the man, the myth, the amazing and wonderful Les Brown. He is a speaker and a coach of mastermind proportion, of master proportions, a master coach. He used to be in the Ohio legislature, where I'm from. He was a radio host. He's world renowned in motivational speaking. He is a legendary story and speaking coach. He has New York Times best-selling books like Live Your Dreams, It's Not Over Until You Win, You Got to Be Hungry. I like the way he says it, hungry. And
Yes.
the greatness within you, and the best of Les Brown audios, which I like, which I really love. The best of Les Brown audios, I love it. And he is massively he's massively kind of presented on social media in all of the different social media forms. He's got five children, so he's on a par with our other partner, Mark Tassoni, who has five children, and he's on Instagram, Inspired Magazine, and lots of other different places. Um, this I like a lot of his quotes, and I usually use them when I sometimes teach. The one thing that determines whether you'll be successful or not, and he motivates people to go beyond their limitations and become great. I mean, there's not enough I can say about this man. He's an incredible opportunity to just hear and let alone connect with. So all good things are in abeyance at this moment. The universe has come together to give us a opportunity to speak with Les, and here we are. Hi, Les. How are you doing?
I'm great and I'm in the presence of greatness. It's always a treat when great people meet.
Always is, and it's a good thing that you lead the way for a lot of people there. You lead the way into their greatness. We're so privileged to have you. So, I wanted to get to start us off by asking a couple questions, but let's see if we can do a little bit. I gave a little bit of your history in there. Is there anything you wanted to add to that or subtract from that?
No, I think that's pretty good. I think what's most important now is where we want to go and what value we want to create for the people that are listening.
Yeah. So you know that we are basically wealth and wholeness coaches. We basically our missions are to create wholeness in human beings, but through the prospect often of wealth. So what I wanted to find out was, do you have a particular money blueprint that you work with people on, and some story formulas for that?
Well, I think my approach rather than a formula is one that most people don't use, but I think they would agree with. That to me, as a 29-year fourth stage prostate cancer conqueror, that when we hear the statement and people trivialize it because it rhymes, your health is your wealth, that's very meaningful to me. That's very meaningful to someone who's had someone with a stethoscope around their neck and a white jacket say, you have cancer. Okay. They asked of Howard Hughes. He was on a plane and they're trying to rush him to a hospital and he took his last breath. Somebody asked the question, how much did he leave? And the answer was all of it.
Yes,
He left it all.
that's right.
And so when I think about this place in my life at 77, and I see many of my friends who have so many trinkets like airplanes and mansions, several of them, and all of these things and millions and billions of dollars. I know several billionaires. I have a friend who she married recently and she's a multimillionaire and she purchased a home that has 24 rooms in it. And I laughed to myself because she and her husband will only sleep in one room. You know, come on. You go only, and you will not be going down the hall and say, you know what? I think we're gonna go down the hall and sleep in the room on the right. Or we could go back here and we're gonna sleep in the room on the second level downstairs. No, on the second level on the left. No, they sleep in one room. So, so to me,
Yeah, but
wealth is your health, and the other thing is your mind.
absolutely.
Because I have another friend who's very wealthy, but he doesn't know who he is. He's suffering from dementia
Oh,
and he doesn't know where he is. And someone has to provide for him. And at this stage of my life, having a strategy, I did a training the other day, and I asked the participants in my training who came to me to train them how to tell their story. And I've worked first on the messenger and then the message. And I asked them a question: what's your strategy for being here? They said, what do you mean? I said, you got to have a strategy for being here, because people don't live life as it is, they live life as they are.
yes.
And as you begin to look at what it is you want to do, the wealth that you want to accumulate, you've got to begin to look at your strategy for being here. What radical change that's going to take place in you for you to accumulate the wealth that you're envisioning for yourself? Because the person that you are now has produced a level of income that you are now embracing. And if you want to go beyond that, we're in the place where Einstein said, he said, the thinking that has brought me this far has created some problems that this thinking can't solve. So you obviously, that thinking where you are now has peaked. And so now you're looking at how can you create millions more than what you now have. So that level of awareness, that level of expertise, that sense of who you are, that sense of deservingness that you now have, what is it that you're going to do to impact that? Because you are manifesting now the vision of who you have of yourself and that sense of deservingness. And it's very important not only to have a strategy for that, but the work that you do, that once you achieve it, to maintain that. Because if your achievements exceed, go beyond your sense of deservingness, you will unconsciously, like Kanye mess, engage in self-destructive behavior to
Right.
take yourself right back down to where you came from.
Very
So
true.
your health and that sense of deservingness, how you see yourself, is major. Can you
It's
feel
all
a brother up in here, up in here?
well, it's all in the becoming, brother. So it's all beautiful. Yes. All right, Mark, anything?
Oh yeah, my big takeaway there, Kanye mess, and we're praying for him. We're praying for him. If I could pull you back a few years, just to, because I know your story. A lot of people do. You've written the books. I was reading the books when I was young and struggling. I'm curious how you were able to operate out of a higher vision, considering where you came from. How were you able to click into, sort of along the lines of what you just said, how were you able to shift your deservedness way back in the day when you were doing that? And I was wondering if you could also, just real quick, put a timeline on when you started speaking. How old were you?
I started speaking. I started speaking when I was in my 20s as a disc jockey and doing it on a volunteer basis in the community. I became a community activist, and I would speak at high schools and elementary schools and juvenile detention centers. And then I went up to speaking in prisons. So I volunteered to do that. They said a calling is something that you love so much you do it for nothing, but you do it so well that people will pay you to do it. And after a while of doing that on a volunteer basis, people invited me to speak at their church and would give me a love offering of $50. And I was most appreciative because the job I had did pay $50 an hour. So that's the journey. And so just like I was reading where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he gave the speech, I Have a Dream, over 200 times before he spoke at the Washington Monument. And
Wow.
so I was doing it for a long time on a volunteer basis. And then I was at an event and I saw a guy who opened for Zig Ziglar. And this guy was so boring. The room was as quiet as a graveyard between funerals. and so I said to the guy next to me, I said, man, that guy was boring. And it was his brother-in-law. And he said he was offended. He said, you ought to be that boring, and made the kind of money he made. I asked him, how much did they pay him? He said, $5,000. I looked at my watch. I said, he only spoke for 45 minutes. He said, that's the kind of money they make. I said, I could do that. But before then, for 14 years, going to Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, Dare to Be Great, other motivational speakers, my heart would say I can do that. But my mind, because I'm in a culture where it is designed to destroy your sense of self, to demonize you, to deny you, that my mind had been groomed to be logical, practical, and realistic. I would ask myself, Les Brown, what makes you think you can do that? You don't have a college education. What makes you think that you can become credible enough that companies like AT, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, IBM, Xerox will hire you? You don't have any corporate experience. And so being practical, logical, and realistic, I ruled out doing what I'm now doing. And I share with people, when there's an argument between your mind and your heart, follow your heart. In my heart, I said, I can do that. I knew that. But the mind believes, the heart knows. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so I knew in my heart I can do it, but I allowed the programming of my inner conversation that was downloaded from my culture to govern my behavior and my decision. We make decisions and our decisions make us. So 14 years, I can't get those 14 years back. I denied myself. There's an African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
So true.
Yeah, so true.
Fantastic. Kamal?
Yeah, Kamal.
Yeah, I love it. I love that, Les. Thank you so much. Uh, Going back to kind of where you started, and I remember the first time I heard one of your talks after I've spent time with Bob Proctor, and he said, Kamal, you need to learn how to speak, and you got to listen to Les. So I looked up Les, and I found the Georgia Dome talk, and I listened to it. And that speech still resonates today. If anybody listens to it, there's so much vibe, there's so much energy in it. What's the message today for Generation Z and Generation X as to how can we help these coaches to take speaking seriously, to advance their career, to advance their wealth, advance their health? Because to sell something, to move into this world, you have to speak it, you have to say it, you have to use that story. And you do such an amazing job. So what can you share with our listeners and with us today on how important to really study this and spend some time with it, speaking?
Warren Buffett said that your ability to present yourself, the ability to speak, is the number one skill that you need today. There's a philosophical question we've all heard. If a tree falls in the forest, no one hears it. Did it make a sound? I remember when I spoke for a major pharmaceutical company, and while there, I heard about people coming to give a presentation, get a contract to teach and train doctors how to communicate with their patients to increase their taking of their hypertension medication. So I was curious. I had already spoken for them. I was just an inspirational speaker there. And when I listened to people who were putting up the power slides and all the things they're going to do, I put my name on the list, and sure enough, they called me. And I presented. I was the only one there that was not a medical doctor, the only one there that did not have a PhD. And I got the contract. And the contract was 16 presentations, and it paid $640,000 in 1 month. And the difference between what I did and what they did, they spoke and they gave information. What I did that allowed me to stand out in this area of professional speaking, the speakers, even to this day, they give information from the book Think and Grow Rich, and they follow a strategy by the Dale Carnegie course. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you tell them. Well, information only impact 2 areas of the brain. My strategy is to tell a story about why I speak. Because people, when you speak, they're asking, who are you? What do you have? What value will it bring for me? And what impact can I make with my own life to do it? And use what you shared with me. And so when I spoke to them, I created an experience. When you create an experience and speak to people's heart, that impacts 5 areas of the brain. That's far more powerful than just giving information. People can Google information. If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. And so, if you're going to make your company known, Steve Jobs said, the storyteller is the most powerful person on the planet. Why? Because if you're going to be known for what it is that you have, you've got to be able to speak in such a way, and this, what we call the attention economy, that you've got to be so impactful when you tell the story of who you are, because people are asking, who are you? Can I trust you? Can I believe in you? People don't buy from you, they buy into you. You're the storyteller for your business, for your multi-level marketing organization, for the products that you represent. And so your ability to speak so that people can hear you, your ability to be so impactful, speaking with power, feeling, and conviction that you stand out from among everybody else, is crucial in this space where there's so many distractions. There's so many choices that people have, and they vote with their dollars. And they vote 2 ways. One, with their eyes. I have this red tie on for a reason. Why? We stop at red lights. So when somebody's strolling, I want them to see what I'm doing. I want them to stop. Next, how you communicate. I had a high school teacher who told me, Mr. Brown, once you open your mouth, you tell the world who you are. That was very impactful for me, because born in an abandoned building on a floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida, being a foster kid, then adopted, being labeled educable, mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, failing again in the 8th grade, he taught me that, hey, you've got to learn how to express yourself, young man. He said, people don't live life as it is, they live life as they are. You got to work on your mind, and you've got to practice OQP, only quality people. Surround yourself with people that you can learn from, that you can grow from. And you got to develop a thirst for learning. When you think about one of the great people of our times in this space, Peter Drucker, he said, we must be willing in this era of accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition, we must be willing to unlearn, learn, and relearn. And Bob Proctor, as we know, Bob Proctor said the primary reason that most people are failing because of ignorance, because of what they don't know. And so this is a time that people have to have the passion for learning. They have to be willing to learn how to speak. All of us are born the same way, dumb, naked, and speechless. And they have to practice what Mr. Washington taught me, OQP, only quality people. Sidney Poitier, the Academy Award winner, he said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. He said, either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Whose pace have you adjusted to?
Love it. So good.
I'm ready. Come on. I'm ready for you. Oh, behave.
I love it. This is so good. Thank you so much, Harrison.
Awesome. So I love what you said, and I really like the idea of unlearning. I like the idea of working with your mind, and I like the idea of extracting your full potential. So if I were to ask you a question about full potential, any exercises, any breakthrough ways that you would have to directly help somebody to break through like circumstances that they might be in right now?
Absolutely. We have to raise the bar on ourselves. We have to become risk takers in this thing called life. Viscard said, if you're not willing to risk, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't become your best. And if you can't become your best, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then what else is there? We have an educational system that discourage people from becoming risk takers because you are punished when you fail. In order to become successful, you will fail your way to success. Walt Disney, he filed bankruptcy 7 times. His first cartoon was stolen from him. Walter P. Chrysler failed 49 times in the automobile industry. The average millionaire has filed bankruptcy over 8 times. So you got to be willing to put yourself at risk, and you got to go beyond your comfort zone. Why is that important? Because your growth begins at the end of your comfort zone. In order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. So there's power in pursuit. This Les Brown that you now see, had I operated within the parameters of my comfort zone, I would have never met this guy. And so I encourage people, be willing to push yourself, be willing to challenge yourself. You don't know what you can't do. I'm thinking about Lion King. Simba, you're more than that which you have become. And if you ask audiences, and I do this often, I ask them, how many of you know if you had your life to live over again, you could have done more than what you've done thus far? And the majority raised their hands, including me. And the reason that we don't do it, we're discouraged. They did a study with children in elementary school. They asked them, how many of you can sing? And all of them raised their hands. And then the second grade, how many of you can sing? And around 70% raised their hands. And then the third grade, how many of you can sing? Only about a third raised their hands. And the fourth grade, more hands went down. Why? Because we've been programmed to live out of our history, our environment, the things we've heard, the things that we've witnessed, to be logical, practical, and realistic, as opposed to living out of our imagination. That's why Einstein said that the imagination is more valuable than knowledge. And so those kids who did not raise their hands have at some point in time been told what they cannot do. And so it's very important for us to begin to have an ongoing process that we're appealing way the things that have been downloaded into us through our observation, through the things that we've experienced, through the people that we're around, the conversations that we've heard, in order for us to get to the irreducible essence of who we are and be able to live the next greatest version of ourselves.
When you're in a coaching situation, you know, Socrates had a method called heuristic, and that means that you question your way, you present the questions that take you to the answers that you want. So he would present the questions and he would lead ask the person who asked or who wanted to learn from him and he would guide them into their own discovery process as opposed to him telling them the answers. So do you have a coaching framework, anything like that in terms of
Well,
questions?
absolutely, and I agree with that approach, because through the questioning process, what you're able to do is take a person to a place in themselves that they cannot go by themselves. You can't read the label when you're in the box. I had this client the other day, and he'd say, "Man, I don't have a down and out story." I said, "Did anybody ask you for that?" I said, "I want to know what your story is." And
Right.
and so he started talking. I said, "No, no, 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 no. I want you not to tell me about the things that you've done. I want you to talk to me about when you were around 5 or 6. Who is it that impressed you? Who impacted your life as you think about your life right now? Who is it that touched you, that when you look at who you are right now, that they influenced you?" He started thinking about it. He said, "My father." I said, "What was it about your father that you admired? I want you to give me an adjective, and I want you to give me an example." And he said, "Determination." I said, "Tell me about that." He said he was repairing a roof and he fell off and he dislocated his shoulder, but he didn't let that stop him. He continued until he got it done. And I said, "Stop right there." And then we went through a series of other questions. And then when I asked him, if you had to come up with some title that represents a signature message of how you came to be the person that you are right now, what would you say? He thought about it. I said, "And this is be a title that anybody who heard about it would want to come hear you tell it. What would that be?" And he said, "Don't give up no matter what." I said, "That's your signature message." And then I worked with him the stories that we pulled out to organize and put that presentation together that had humor, that had quotes, that had ideas, examples that would create an experience with the audience that would transform them visually and collectively. One of the key things I say to speakers that I train: never let what you want to say get in the way of what your audience needs to hear. Find out who they are and how what it is that you have can create an experience with them. Oliver Wendell Holmes said that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. When you ask questions, you're able to create an experience for people to live outside of their culture and their mental conditioning and their history, and then begin to see themselves already living from the place as if they've already done it, that you want them to see and to hold on tenaciously. And as the saying goes, act the way you want to be, because soon you'll be the way you act. Oh, behave.
Well, that is the hero process, isn't it? So,
Yes.
all right, Mark.
Yes, of the many amazing things and quotes you said, one was particularly partial to me, because I guess this sort of was my signature speech. I had to sell my way to success. And you had said that people don't buy from you, they buy into you. And of course, you were talking about telling stories. I was wondering if there were any other tips that you could give. There's a lot of coaches that we deal with who are really wanting to move their way up in the coaching realm and impact people, and they have to sell, and not all of them like to do it, but it's something that is necessary. So I was wondering if you could maybe speak into that a little bit. People don't buy from you, they buy into you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hi. My name is Mark, and I want to talk to you right now about what it is you want to do with your life. We're living in this era that we're going through a major disruption because of the pandemic. It's a crisis, and crises in the Chinese language means danger, but it also means opportunity. And I want you to think about what you want to do with your life right now. And I want you to write this down. Master something that you love. This is a day, there's a book called Average is Over, that being average is not enough. We must operate out of thinking of Henry David Thoreau, who said, do not go where the path may lead, go where there's no path and leave a trail. I love selling. And I decided that this is what I was going to do to earn a living for myself, to provide for my family, to live a life of impact. We make decisions, and our decisions make us. The other thing is not only mastering something you love, but having accountability partners. I got some partners that I work with, that I admire, that we learn from each other, we grow from each other. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. So this is the time that you have to elevate your relationships, because life is like an elevator. The higher you go up, at different points you have to stop and let some people off. And so when I look at my life, my relationships with Kamal, my relationship with Harrison has expanded my network, and your network determines your net worth. And here's something else. Reinvent yourself continuously. If people who are going to college right now, by the first year, everything they've learned has become obsolete. If you're not going into an area that requires certification, you really don't have to go, because you can Google information. People are getting degrees online. So you have to be relentless and reinventing yourself, having at least 4 or 5 buckets of income that you're generating. One hospital stay, one sickness, all of us are one surgery away from bankruptcy. 95% of the people who filed bankruptcy last year did so because of medical expenses. So you want to begin to reinvent yourself and begin to use all of your talents, abilities, and skill to begin to create other streams of income, because it's better to have money coming in and not need it than to need it and not have it. People say money won't make you happy, but everybody want to find out for themselves. And the other thing is kindred spirits.
Yeah.
You can't make it by yourself. You've got to have relationships with people that you know that they will be there for you and you will be there for them. There are people in most of our lives who are always there when they need you. But when I know the fact that the guys that I hang out with, if something happened to me, they're going to be there for me. Something happens to me, they're going to show up for me, and I'm going to show up for them. And so I'm saying, live a life where you have the mark of greatness upon you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Kamal, over to you.
Master something you love, accountability partners, reinvent yourself, and kindred spirits. The mark of greatness is upon
Wow. Love it. Gotta be hungry. I love it. So good. So good. It's so good. And Les is with us here. You showed up with so much enthusiasm, character, and have that energy. And we're catering to the coach that wants to grow. They want to increase their network and their net worth. And we know that there are so many out there that are struggling. They fall down and they don't get up. They are struggling from getting out there. And we want to help them. That's the whole point of this. We want to help them. And I recall the talk that you did at Georgia Dome, and where you say, it's not over until I win. It's not over until I win. So we want to send a strong message to these coaches out there to get back up and get going and raise your hand and ask for the help, because the help is available. They just need to get up and ask.
It's not just getting up and ask. It goes beyond that. I had this man cutting my grass, and he and his wife had come over from Mexico. with his mother-in-law. And in a short time, he got a brand new car and he bought a home. And it was during the recession. And I was wondering, how did he do that? And so he didn't speak much English. What I realized through conversations with one of their cousins who came over who was fluent in English, they didn't watch the news because they couldn't understand the language. The recession existed for people who watched the news. The recession didn't exist for them.
Mm.
Flip Wilson, the comedian, used to say, what you see is what you get. So part of what we have to do is realize what you tune into, you turn into. Unplug from the world. Don't watch the news. I don't watch it. Why? My heart goes out to people who are going through hard times right now, but I can't do anything to help them. I've got to use my mind to help my family and to help the people in my community, but I only have so much. There's a quote by Ian Levon Sant that says, give to yourself until your cup runneth over, and then give to others from the overflow. And so the other thing is that people who are involved in sales, they got to ask themselves the question, what am I looking at? Because many people, as in the book called The University of Success, never achieve their goals, the quotas they set for themselves, because of the fact they have allowed themselves to be shortchanged by putting too much time and energy and mental resources and secondary activity, stuff that won't help them. In order to be a great salesman, you got to be present. In order to be a great salesman, you've got to be playing with a full deck, because people can feel your energy. You've got to be confident, and they want to know, do you believe this?
Mhm.
Do you believe this? Do you believe this to the extent that I feel it in my heart that you are the one? And so because most people have polluted their power, their energy, their enthusiasm with all of the negativity of the world, in the midst of all of this, there are billionaires. Billionaires created every day. This is the greatest transference of wealth in the history of the world. How is that possible? Oh no, this is a great time for the people that are focused, for the people that are not allowing themselves to be distracted, for people, keep thine eyes single and thy whole body will be full of light, for people that are keeping the main thing, the main thing. They're taking their sales, they're taking their team, they're bringing out the best in themselves and the best in those around them, because the speed of the leader is the speed of the group.
So good.
Wow.
So amazing. I love it. I love it. Harrison?
Okay, so Les, I can't, there's so many snippets there that I can hardly absorb all of them at one time. I am going through internal explosions. Okay. So really good stuff, Les. You talked about confidence. You also talked about ignorance. You talked about, secondary and being present. What I want to know basically that I think can help a lot of people at this particular moment, and you talked about reinventing yourself because that's really such an important part of the process. But many people have these negative patterns that they live in. They go over and over and over and do the same things continuously. So there's got to be some sort of a pattern elimination process that we need in order to make it to the next level, because it isn't all just inspiration. We also have to reduce or eliminate the patterns that kept us in a lower space. So can you give us some sort of a breakthrough process for that?
I was going through a tough time in Columbus, Ohio, and I had a friend that I would go talk to named Porky.
I know this
And
story. I was
yeah,
with, I
and
was,
Porky asked me a key question. Are you learning anything? And the reason he asked me that question, I was doing the same thing over and over and over again. Einstein said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. There are people who are holding on tenaciously to choices they have made that's not serving them, it's not working for them, and they're still sticking to it. Remember Jerry Maguire, help me to help you. Well, I've come to know that most people won't participate in their own rescue. You got to make a decision that this doesn't work for me. I've got to make some decision to take my life in another direction. We make decisions, and our decisions make us. And so now I have to look at myself. The other night, I was very upset with all the garbage and the filth that's on the internet. And then I heard a question. What are you doing? What are you about to go to sleep? You're about to leave the computer, go upstairs and go to sleep. I save you from prostate cancer death. 29 years, you got the Cancer Centers Award of Perseverance. They were about to radiate your spine, and the nurse said, you might not be able to speak again. You might lose your voice. You said to me, Lord, if I come out with my voice, you think Paul worked for you? I'm going to take it to the next level. Cancer's metastasized to your body, 7 places, and you're still here. And you about to take your behind to sleep? What are you doing? You should be so busy bringing light, speaking light, then you have no time to watch people who are bringing darkness. What are you doing? I started crying. I sit down at the computer and I talk for an hour and a half. And thousands of people tune in to watch, because we have to look at ourselves and make a decision that what I'm doing doesn't serve me. We can see it. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Adam, where are you? Not a location question. It was a question that caused Adam to think. Life is a question, and how we live our lives is the answer. And so when I looked at my behavior last night, I just said, this behavior won't make a difference on the planet. Can't save everybody, but I'm going to save some people tonight. I'm going to impact some people tonight. Somebody, and one guy texted me and said, until I heard your presentation and you said, he said, I was about to take my life and you said, committing suicide is spitting in the face of God. And then you did, tuh. He said, my God. He said, I took the gun down from my head and said, I can't spit in the face of God. I saved a life.
Wow. Yeah. It's incredible. Awesome. And part of what you're talking here is showing so clearly your passion for life. And I love that about you. That is what comes across in the most incredible way. So
Thank
you are,
you.
that is for me, your greatness is your passion for life. And it really moves everything. So, and talk about thousands of people. I mean, I understand that that passion is a ripple effect continuously. And so it's a very, very beautiful thing that you do. Over to
Thank
Mark.
you.
You are, you, thank you. Thank you, Les. Don't thank me. Thank you.
Les, you are really, 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 really good with quotes. I might even name you the king of quotes because you're good at it. Do you have a regimen? Like, is there a way you get good at it? Do you study every day, or like,
You have to. Einstein, he talked about the reality that we have to work on our stuff every day, that we've got to be willing to face disappointment every day, and knowing that failure is an event, it's not you. And this is my magnificent obsession. I love this. I told my kids, when I die, I said, don't let them embalm me right away. I want you to sneak into the morgue and put a microphone in my hand. If I don't grab it and say, you got to be hungry, just call your brothers and sisters and say, Dad's gone now. He's out of here. When I say live your life the way that you want to leave your life, live full and die empty. Rob the cemetery of your genius, of your voice, of your contribution. That's what you guys are doing. What you're doing right now is depleting the cemetery of people who have given up, people who have lost hope, people allowing themselves to be overwhelmed by anxiety and fear and hopelessness. And your program and the way it's set up is designed to give people an expanded vision of themselves, that you're still here. You still have the power to make some impact. Where you are is not your destiny. And the choices that you make will determine if you stay stuck or if you're going to create momentum to become, as Mother Teresa would say, a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in your life. Oh, behave.
Come on.
I
Don't
love
come
it.
from me. If you run over here, you will limp back. Come
It's
on
so
now.
good. I want everybody to go to lesbrown.com and see what's up to learn how to do this because
Yeah, it's
listen,
lesbrown.com, not end up. That's lesbrown.com.
it's beautiful. I
Yeah,
mean,
because we have an online course, and then people who want one-on-one coaching, coachmelesbrown.com.
I love it. Now, I have to ask this question because you're the master storyteller, and that's how I learned your name from my previous mentor, Bob Proctor. Rest in peace, Bob. He said, "Go to Les," and that's how you learn it. What's the 3 points for an amazing story so that the audience just waits there? Like, can you share with us 2 or 3 points of the art of storytelling?
Yes, 1, a story from your heart. 2, creating a presentation where your story becomes the audience's story. And 3, use your story strategically to create a significant event. Come on. Tell me a moment in your life that as a result of that, you knew your life would never be the same again.
When I left Lebanon, that was the key. When I got on the boat and I left Lebanon, Beirut, got on the boat, I knew something was up.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you right now about your goals and dreams. And as you think about your goals and dreams, I want you to know that all of us have the potential to do more and to have more and to experience more. And something that I have learned in my life, that location, that where you are, places are more important than people. God did make people and had us dangling in the air. He created a place for us. There's a place where you would be more productive and impactful than where you are right now. We've seen athletes who've been on a team and they were riding the bench and then they get traded to another team and they become stars. So your environment, it's been said that environment is more powerful than ego. I looked at my life and where I was, and I said, this is not me. There's a place in the Bible where God said to Abraham, get up and go to a new land. And I was willing to risk going to someplace else, a new culture, someplace else. Didn't know what I was going to, but I understood the value. Sometimes in life, you must walk by faith and not by sight. I was willing to go to some place else. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to write this down. Bet on you. I knew in my heart of hearts that I was going to make it. I was betting on me because where I was, it did not serve me. There are people in relationships where they're dying together rather than living together. Studies indicate people going to jobs that the suicide rate and the heart attack rate increases by 35% on Monday morning, getting ready to go to jobs that's not them, because that place where they are is toxic. And I said, because of what's in me that refused to be denied, I was going to go to another place and bet on me. And here's something else, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be hungry, because you got to leap and grow your wings on the way down. People that are hungry are relentless. People that are hungry know that you will fail your way to success. People that are hungry are relentless. People that are hungry understand the words of Og Mandino, who wrote the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. I will persist until I succeed. Yeah, I'm like Steph Curry. You've seen him. He will shoot a basket. He'd shoot and turn around and start running to the other end of the court before the ball hit the net, because he knew it was a hit. Well, guess what? I knew when I arrived on the shores of the land of opportunity, victory was mine. I snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. Sometimes you got to get up and go to a new land. My name is Kamal. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Woo!
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 Oh, yay! That
Don't
was
mess with me. Don't come for me. Don't come for me.
Well,
I'm having
love
so
it.
much fun with y'all. You bring out the best in me.
well, we're having such fun. It's an incredible thing. So it's beautiful to hear this knowingness that you have within you, and the passion of all that stuff. So as you said, average is over. So that is going to be our motto from here on in. There's no more average with any of us or anybody that we train or what we do, and then no more average from the stuff that you have said here. There's enough juice here to make enough people, grow, transform instantaneously. I was on a call once and I had about 3,000 people on that call, and people were writing in. They said they transformed right on the call. This call is going to transform a lot more than
Oh, yeah.
3,000 people.
This was a clinic. This is
Yeah,
a clinic.
absolutely.
Thank you.
So, Mark always talks about the fact that he knows he's wealthy. So, that knowing is so intense that that's what creates the money, right? So the knowing of a particular trait is much more powerful than the believing of a trait. Can you address any of that kind of stuff?
The wealth, the money, the choices that you make, the circumstances where you find yourself is a manifestation of who you are. Socrates said, the forte Brutus is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. You take someone who knows them, who knows themselves, you can blindfold them and drop them in any country in the world, and they'll find a way to go to the top. That's why self-development is so very important. Working on yourself continuously, not settling, increasing your sense of deservingness, expanding your vision, and living a heart-driven life, living from your heart. Because when you get in alignment with why you're here, you develop what I call the can't helps it. The reason you do this show, all three of you could be doing something else, but it's a calling.
Yes.
You do it because you've made a decision. I'm going to make a difference on this planet. I know there's a whole lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of hate and divisiveness and chaos that's going on. But how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I'm going to do my part to make my impact before I leave here. That's what you've done. And evil prevails when good men and women do nothing. All three of you decided, I'm not going to be a witness. I'm not going to be among the group that will spend time saying, oh, ain't it awful? No, my goal is to be a part of the solution. You're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. I'm creating a program. I'm getting some of my colleagues together who believe as I believe that we can make a contribution to push humanity forward. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that's so little of. You can't handle my John Legend voice. That's another ticket.
Well, I'll pay that price.
Les, are you still out speaking these days, or what's your?
Occasionally, if it's someplace that I want to go,
Yep.
know, I do a lot of the Zoom calls. That
Yep.
technology has eliminated geography. So I do a lot of Zoom calls because the ability to create an experience with your voice, your personality, and your knowledge it's the mainstay today. But I miss being in the room. I did a training 2 weeks ago in Miami. It was very exciting. So I do it for selective groups, but I don't do it often because I'm not trying to get the monkeypox.
That is so funny. Are you still? Do you reside in Miami still? Because
I'm between Miami and Atlanta. I go
Okay.
between the two. Yes.
okay, cool,
Mhm.
very cool, good to know.
And here, because I just discovered at 75 my birth family. So I'm gonna send you guys a video so you can
Oh
see it.
wow! Oh
I'm
wow!
still processing it. It will shock you. My birth mother name was Dorothy Bell Rucker. Whenever I end my speeches, I would say, this has been Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. Mamie Brown taught me how to live life. Dorothy Bell Rucker gave me life. She was a
Wow.
motivational speaker. And her mother, my grandmother,
Oh, I just
Beulah
got chills,
Rucker,
man. Woo!
they have the Beulah Rucker Museum. And so she spoke with Mary McLeod Bethune, and she was friends with Eleanor Roosevelt. You know,
Oh, I just got
come
chills.
on. You can't make this stuff up. Look at God. Won't he do it? Yes.
You got some genes, baby. That's better than Guess and Nautica and all the
Well,
rest.
I have 3 brothers who have the genes, but they didn't put in the time and the effort to develop the genes. We all have the genes. We're all chosen. We're chosen out of 400 million sperm. And there are people like you who decided it's not enough to be chosen. It's enough for me to do something with what God saw in me to
That's
live
right.
a life that's productive and impactful and that will make a difference.
That's
Many
right.
people allow themselves to be conditioned to be employed, but your mindset is, I was deployed to make the world a better place.
Sweet. That's very, very sweet, Les. We're getting on the hour now, so we're going to kind of tell you that we are expanded. We are definitely expanded.
100%.
And so life
Thank
is
you.
very good, and you have added to that situation dramatically. We're going to kind of end up with a quick lightning round. If anybody has any questions, either you guys have any additional questions, now is the time because we're going to do it for like a short one answer, 1, 2 or 3 word answer type thing. And then we're going to kind of wind up. And I'd like it if you'd like to stay a couple minutes after after we shut down and we want to talk for a couple of minutes. So go ahead, Mark or Kamal. Anyone?
Harrison, I am
One word
complete.
answer questions.
I'm complete. I just want to get to the replay. How do I get to that replay?
Okay, Kamal.
No, I just want to say thank you, Les. It's
Yeah,
so
thank you, too.
honored to be here with you and meet you in person. You heard about you so much, listen to you all the time, and just grateful to get to know you now a little bit more. And everybody, go to lesbrown.com, and if you want one-on-one, go to coachmelesbrown.com, and
Yes.
we'll make it happen. Thank you
A
so
big
much.
thank you as well, Les. Gratitude. So much gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Les. It's been an honor, a pleasure, and all the great things that can happen to one person has come to you through everybody else, and everybody that's hearing this. Okay, so thank you very much. Let me end the recording and you guys go look at Les's stuff. Go hear Les's stuff. Till then.
You have something special. You have greatness in you. Hello, I'm Les Brown. We're living in a time that's very disruptive, and major disruption requires major transformation. Coaching into results is very needed now more than ever before. Most people are failing now, not because they don't have the ability to do what's necessary, but you can't read the label, you're in the box. When you're in the box, your view is skewed. And so having somebody that's experienced, and this is what this team brings, years of success. And people say, well, experience is the best teacher. No, wisdom is the best teacher. Their collective wisdom will liberate you. Their collective wisdom will give you the keys that you need to unlock your new future and put your success on steroids. Yes, coaching into results. Yeah, going from lip service to life service. If you're ready to win, if you're ready to create a whole life of wealth in terms of peace of mind, good relationships, as well as financial wealth, this is the team. I believe in them. And I know once you experience them, you will say, Les Brown, you knew what you were talking about. I know it's not true because you said it, but I said it because it's true. Make sure you reach out to them. Coaching into results. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.